On this week's episode, Mobile Suit Gundams return to the theaters. Is The Conjuring the best horror franchise of this decade? And it's a trailer barrage hitting us from all sides as we reach our home. And it's a trailer barrage that's hitting us from all sides as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back for another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Joe Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, the Lakers Fast Break podcast, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. Thanking you so much for listening to all of our great shows. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He is the knower of all things from Humanica Media. You got to check out what he's doing today at popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. And all the things that he's doing at Topicocalypse, and of course his awesome book, Congratulations, You Suck. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. Look out, man. It's a trailer barrage.
So many trailers. You feel that landslide sliding in there?
Exactly, my friend. And you know, that's one of the things I'm going to discuss with you here in a second. Was there too many big name trailers that came out this week? We're going to talk about that because the Black Widow trailer came out. And then the James Bond No Time to Die trailer came out. And then on top of that, the Mulan trailer came out. So three, not one, but two, but three big trailers came out this weekend. We'll talk about each of them. Plus, were there too many big trailers coming out this weekend? Coming up here in a sec. Plus also as well, Jason Todd Feinberg from Honey Queen. He is going to stop by later in the program to talk about the Mulan trailer, the Black Widow trailer, and also as well, my question to him is the Conjuring franchise the biggest horror, the biggest thing to hit horror, the biggest thing in horror the last decade. Plus also as well, Josh and I are going to talk about Mobile Suit Gundam's Char Counterattack that's returning to theaters and the rumor of a possible Disney involvement in a live-action Dragon Ball film. But first, my friend, I do want to ask you your thoughts coming up here because there was three big trailers this weekend. First up, was there too many big trailers to come out this weekend, especially back to back to back?
Yeah, it was kind of an overwhelming time for trailers, but at the same time, I'm kind of excited now because I hadn't seen a lot. I mean, I know at the beginning, in 2018, we had done an episode about whether or not we were excited for 2019 films, right? We talked about, is 2019 the biggest year for movies ever? And, while it's had some good things come out, I didn't really sit there and think like, wow, there's some things that are really just going to blow my mind. As I'm sitting here watching some of these trailers, we have the 007, we have Mulan, and we have The Boys season 2 trailer came out. Like there is some good stuff in the media coming out. Whether or not it's going to blow my mind, I can't say at the moment, but right now I'm excited to go to the movies again. And I don't know how you're feeling about it, but I don't feel overwhelmed. I feel hopeful.
Well, I do as well. The Boys, like you said, The Boys season 2 trailer also dropped this week. A couple other trailers did as well, plus 6 Underground, a little bit more footage from Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker. A lot of stuff happened this weekend in regards to things coming up in the near or not too distant future that that these studios really want you to get a good look at. Might have been a little bit too much because the fact that some of these things might get lost in the shuffle. There is always that possibility, but it's nonetheless makes it exciting for us as pop culture fans to go ahead and check out all this great stuff that did hit us. And the first thing that really did hit us was the Black Widow trailer. And Marvel dropped that on Tuesday. So I want to ask you, my friend, your thoughts on the Black Widow trailer. It's obviously Scarlett Johansson coming back to the role she's most famous for, something that a lot of people were excited about. I know you had made the comment through social media this week that you were so excited to see it. The trailer, in my opinion, looked really good. I'm really impressed by it. It takes her back to her home country or home area where she's from, where she grew up, where she was initiated and indoctrined into the Black Widow set and all that. She does meet up with her quote unquote sister and also her quote unquote family in the context of the trailer. And the idea is, I guess, to go back to where she once was to try and stop from something happening again. So it looks like it's going to set up something really good within the span of whatever is coming up in the future for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I want to hear your thoughts, my friend. Were you as impressed with the trailer for Black Widow as I was?
I mean, I don't know how impressed you were, but like I thought it looked really good. It reminded me of like a mixture of The Bourne Identity and Winter Soldier. We have a mixture of a superhero film and something that has, that espionage film or espionage feel as we had with like James Bond, Bourne Identity, films like that. It blends so many action packed and dark elements. It doesn't feel like your typical superhero movie outside of the parts with like David Harbour, who puts on the mask, and I don't know who exactly he plays, but like he puts on the mask and he seems to
the Red Guardian.
He seems to play that role very well. What it makes me feel is excited but also disappointed at the same time. I feel like this film came out far too late, and I think it's cool that it's going to stand on its own.
I wonder who had said that as well many years ago.
Yeah, I just like I it's cool that it's going to stand on its own, but I'm excited to see like more backstory, more history on the character of Black Widow, but at the same time, like it's not going to really build towards anything. I think it's going to be cool because it's something you just sit down and watch and not have to worry about bigger pieces falling into place. But at the same time, it's sad that we're never going to see that character on the screen again. And as you saw me say in a social media post earlier this week, like I think, I love the character of Black Widow, but I feel like it was a kind of a cheap plot device. What they did to her in Endgame. It's just it never has sat right with me because I've always really liked that character.
Well, if you watch the deleted scene that's available on Disney Plus of an alternate type of ending, which still had the same result, that wasn't much better. In fact, I thought it was a lot worse. So the ending of the two that they filmed, the better ending ended up actually in the movie. But you're right, it wasn't the way I wanted Black Widow to go out. She should have been part of that climactic battle and whatnot at the end of Avengers Endgame. I think it was justified that should have been the case, and unfortunately that wasn't the case. And I think there should be a future going forward for Black Widow. I am not necessarily convinced that this is the last we'll see of Black Widow. I'm personally not. I think we will have some sort of magical resurrection or some sort of appearance by her later on down the line. I don't think she's finished the character. She says she is, but that's because Marvel's told her that, but I don't think so. I really think that it will be something down the line with her. I like to think that anyways, because she has portrayed the character extremely well. Now, some of the events, or most likely most of the recent events of the movie, take place right after Civil War. I agree with you on the fact that you said this movie should have come out a lot sooner. Had this movie come out right after Civil War, I think that would have fit a lot better because she does have where she's on the run at the end of Civil War. I think that would have been much more fitting. I think they're trying to shoehorn this a little bit, but they've done this before with Captain Marvel and a couple other movies where they put these movies in, sometimes as a palate cleanser, sometimes for other reasons that don't necessarily fit in the whole timeline and the overall scheme of things. In fact, Spider-Man Far From Home, I thought was shoehorned in. So they don't exactly have the best timing, but the fact that they are still doing it and are still making a Black Widow movie after all the years and all the episodes you've heard me whine and cry about it, that to me, seeing that trailer this week really brought me to a very good feeling that they're going to finally do it. It brought my daughters to tears, and I'll tell you what, we're just so excited to be a part of it as far as from a movie fan experience, and I cannot wait until it comes out in May of 2020.
I can't either. This is the first time like I've seen a Marvel trailer and I've actually been feeling a very energized buzz, like, within myself about how excited I am to see this movie. Most of the time I see, even like, it was weird, even with the trailer for like Endgame or Infinity War, like I sat there, I'm like, I always expected this. So I've been anticipating it coming out, but at the same time, when I sat there and watched the trailer for Black Widow, I was not expecting this. And I'm kind of excited to see her story arc come full circle if that's what it's going to do.
I think you'll have that same type of feeling when Thor Love and Thunder, that first trailer hits, because you enjoyed Ragnarok and Taika Waititi so much. I think that, like you, a lot of other people, I know Ben Arnault, I know Jason Todd Feinberg has also expressed the love for Thor Ragnarok as well. I think when Love and Thunder, which could very well be the last Thor movie, I think it will be, because we've already done 3 already. That could be the last one. And if so, then I'm sure a lot of people will be excited just for those very reasons. But I'll tell you what, my friend, Black Widow, I don't think she's done in the MCU, like I said, but I think there's a lot more that she can give the series if she's brought back to life. But at least we will get, even if it's not the case and she is done for good, at least we'll get another, just a great glimpse of her character, a little bit more into detail in her backstory as Black Widow comes out in May of 2020. We're excited for it. I cannot express the fact that I'm just so glad that they're actually doing it. Yeah, it comes a little bit later than I wanted it to in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the fact that there is a Black Widow movie coming at all, and there's the fact that it's going to be in a prime slot, because May of every year is always the prime slot for movies. And obviously last year's and the year before that with Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, you had your premier movies. In fact, for Marvel, for the past several years, have come out with a premiere movie in May. And the fact that they think Black Widow is going to be their big ticket seller of all the Marvel big ticket sellers in 2020, tells you a lot about how much confidence they have in the Black Widow character.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and seeing this trailer, it makes me wonder why or if they ever had confidence in her in the first place. I always, like I said, I've always really admired her character, and I've always kind of enjoyed seeing her on the screen and like knowing her. When we got to see a glimpse of her backstory in what was it, Age of Ultron, I really enjoyed those parts. Why didn't they move forward with something like this sooner? Captain America got his own movie, Hulk got his own movie, Iron Man got his own film. Why would they not give one of the
Only
biggest?
Hawkeye gets the series.
Yeah, and that's another thing that doesn't make sense to me, is like Hawkeye has, as much as I've enjoyed his character, his character has never been that interesting to me, not on the level that Black Widow has. So,
which is the reason why he's only getting a TV series.
yeah, but I mean, why did they generate more hype over him having a TV series than they have the Black Widow film? That's something that still doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's like I said, I just don't think that Disney or Marvel has enough confidence in the Hawkeye character selling tickets. I don't think they have an idea or premise that would be able to expand that on a box office theater type level to their satisfaction. I think all the other stories, even with the unknown characters that are coming out with their own stories in the Marvel cinematic part of the universe coming to big screens, I think they have stories that they feel will appeal to a larger audience than something brought to them by Hawkeye, which is why I don't want to say relegating him to, because ultimately you could have, with the consumer base that has Disney Plus, conceivably have more eyes on those series than people actually going to the theaters. But I know that a lot of people have this perception that the Hawkeye series going to TV is a downgrade. And so if that's what you're going to say, that's what it is. That's what you feel like. Probably not going to change your mind on that. But the Hawkeye series is probably best where it is, because of the fact that it's just not something that I don't think would translate well onto a box office screen. But you know what? At least we're getting one of the two between him and Black Widow. onto the screen. We'll probably even see an appearance by Hawkeye somewhere in the film because part of the trailer is shown in Budapest. So Budapest does play a role in, at least a part of in the trailer and at some portion in the movie. So I have a feeling, I have a sneaky suspicion we will be seeing Clint Barton in some form or fashion assisting or helping or showing up in the middle of a portion of one part of this upcoming Black Widow feature. So I know Josh is excited. I know I'm excited. Are you excited for the Black Widow movie coming out in May 2020? We want to hear your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, my friend, there were a couple other trailers that came out this past week. A big note. Again, there were other trailers for like season like The Boys and some others that came out as well that were also very important that we love. In fact, The Boys season 2 trailer looked outstanding, and I can't wait for that series to come back on Amazon. But we want to talk about the last 007 movie with Daniel Craig. From what he says, from what has been told by us by the studio, the last movie with Daniel Craig, No Time to Die. That trailer debuted this week, featuring a lot of action, a possible betrayal, and a new 00 character in Latasha Lynch. So I want to hear your thoughts, your impressions of the trailer, No Time to Die.
I will admit that I fell asleep in Spectre, and I have not watched it since. I do remember the plot points. I remember the love or female interest. I remember Christoph Waltz's character, which I thought was really great. I remember the car chase with Dave Bautista. So looking at this trailer, today I watched it. I've always been a huge fan of the James Bond series, and I think that this might make me unpopular, with the ranks of Pop Culture Cosmos, but I always thought that Daniel Craig was always like one of the best Bonds. I think that he's better than Pierce Brosnan. I love Sean Connery. But I think he's better than Pierce Brosnan because
I think he's grown to be as good as Pierce Brosnan. I don't think he's better, but Sean Connery, I think, was
Sean Connery's amazing. Yeah, but Pierce Brosnan, like, I don't blame him for not being my favorite Bond. I think it's in the writing because I feel like
he was given some bad movies. They both have. Daniel Craig was not given some great movies in the beginning, and I don't think Pierce Brosnan was as well.
Right. But I feel like it has a lot to do with the writing in the studio. I feel like Casino Royale is the first time they actually had Bond take himself seriously, whereas like with Pierce Brosnan, he was every bit like the the ladies' man and the typical.
He was a lot more Roger Moore.
He was, yes. Whereas Daniel Craig kind of took the part and he played it on a level of like Matt Damon in Bourne Identity. That's what I enjoyed about it. It had like a more serious and kind of a darker spin on the character. And then, granted, like not every movie has been great. Casino Royale was good. I'm not a huge fan of Quantum of Solace, but Skyfall was really good. Didn't see the rest of Spectre since I fell asleep through it. Want to go back and watch it. But watching this trailer, I am hyped for another James Bond movie. I know enough about the last movie to kind of see where this movie is headed and what it is. And I am excited about it. I love how everything is coming full circle. They have the whole thing with the guy who took over for M, Ralph Fiennes's character. They have the girl from the last film. And then they have him, from what I can gather from the trailer, he's not even a 007 anymore. He's somebody. He's a commander or a general or whatever he is. And they have a new 007 character, which is, I forget what her first name is, but something Lynch. And
Latasha Lynch.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me to see all these characters come together.
Hold on, it might be Lashana Lynch. Go ahead. Go.
But it's just interesting to see all these characters come together, where they're going, what the film is, what the future of the franchise might be. And I know that with this film,
Lashana Lynch. Lashana Lynch.
Yeah, she was in 12 Years a Slave and something else.
Captain Marvel.
But yeah, like it's cool to me to see all these pieces come together. We're gonna get our answers to like where's the franchise going now that Daniel Craig is stepping down. I don't want to see a 007 without a James Bond film, but I am curious to see like what kind of story arcs they're going to be able to come up with. You know, like I'm not against an all female 007 film, but I also feel like the character of James Bond needs to persist. You know, how do you feel about that?
I wouldn't mind because we've seen so much of the same type of James Bond character. I mean, there's just subtle variations. You said Daniel Craig is more serious, more Jason Bourne like. Then you have Pierce Brosnan, who is trying to be a hybrid between Sean Connery and also Roger Moore. I think he was like a hybrid of each. And then you had Sean Connery, who was also very rugged, very action oriented, but also managed to go ahead and have so many quips and so many types of jokes that were not exactly PC or 2019 style. Excuse me. But still, there was something, he was still very much a part of what was going on, and he's so remembered and so beloved in that role. And then you had Roger Moore. You had these different actors go ahead and play the role. Timothy Dalton, who people are not exactly in love with, for the most part, for his portrayal. But there are subtle variations off each other. So I could use a fresh change for at least a little while in the 007 series. So I don't mind if Lashana Lynch plays the role or plays some type of role within the context of the 007 series. So I don't mind as much as you do. In fact, I'm actually would be looking forward to it, especially if she does well and if she portrayed well in this No Time to Die character. I could be really excited for what's coming up ahead for the 007 series, maybe even more so than just another character playing the role that looks and acts similar to one of these blends of all the different James Bond we've seen over the course of 50 plus years of James Bond movies.
I agree. You know, I'm all for something new, but at the same time, if you're going to have 007 is James Bond. You know, if you're not going to have James Bond in 007, it will just feel off to me. You know, if they want to call it something other than 007, I'd be fine with that. But, you know, we've come to know and love this character that Daniel Craig has created over the past 5 films. They would have to have something. You know, I would love to see Idris Elba play the character, as we've talked about before, but there would have to be something there that continued the legacy of James Bond, because if they went 2 or 3 films without a James Bond, he would lose relevance. Nobody would care anymore. You know, and a lot of the things that draws people to this film is the fact that it is James Bond, you know, and they've grown up with this character. They've read the books about this character. They know a lot about this character, and it would feel off to me if there wasn't a James Bond in the 007 franchise.
Well, it's still going to be very impressive from what we saw. I'm very excited for what could be the last turn, what very well will be the last turn for Daniel Craig in the role of James Bond coming up in No Time to Die, coming up in 2020. The first trailer is out. We are very excited for it. It looks very good and very exciting. I can't wait for it. It's No Time to Die. I want to hear your thoughts out there, people, on if you are just as interested in the upcoming No Time to Die and the last turn for Daniel Craig's James Bond. Do you think it's the right moves as far as what the movie studio MGM is going, and now Universal, it's no longer Sony, MGM and Universal are doing with the James Bond character, and also what they're going ahead and do with the new 00 character in Lashana Lynch? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, before we head out to the break, and after the break comes Jason Todd Feinberg of Honey Queen, I want to ask you this, my friend. Also, there was another major movie trailer to come out, again by Disney, and it was Mulan, the live-action reimagining of Mulan. That's coming out next year, and that trailer dropped this week on Thursday. So I want to ask you, my friend, your thoughts initially on what's going on with Mulan.
Okay, my thoughts initially, and you know that I'm a huge kung fu film fan. You know, I love Donnie Yen. I love the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon stuff. This feels very dark to me. You know, they don't have the singing and the songwriting. They don't have the magic. It feels like a kung fu film. It feels like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It feels like the Forbidden Kingdom. It feels like those kung fu movies that have the elements of sorcery and magic. If you look at the antagonist against Mulan, we don't know who she is because she's not in the actual cartoon film. It does not feel like Mulan. You know, it feels like an unknown kung fu film as opposed to something that captured the hearts and minds of people all around the world back when it originally came out. And you know, there's going to have to be a lot of elements that play into this film to make it feel like a Disney film if it's going to do well, right? You know, what's the first song you think of when you think of Mulan? It's the whole "Let's Get Down to Business" song, right? So they have to have something. If it's in the soundtrack, if they're not going to sing, they have to have some kind of soundtrack playing. But it feels very dark. It feels very serious, and it feels like something that isn't a Disney film. So I am feeling like it's not going to be received well by people who are fans of the Mulan film, because what makes a Mulan film stand out, the original Disney one, is that it has all the elements of a Disney film in it. This one doesn't have Mushu. It's barely recognizable without outside the character of Mulan and the storyline. It doesn't feel like a Disney movie. I could be wrong, and I could eat these words when the film comes out, but watching the trailer, I don't feel like I'm watching the movie that I really enjoyed and loved as a child.
I enjoyed Mulan as well very much when it came out. I thought it was probably one of my favorite, if not the favorite, of the Disney films like it. You know, when you compare the Lion King and so many other of those, you know, Lady and the Tramp, all those other kids Dumbo, all those other Disney kids movies that came around that time. I was already an adult, but I will tell you that even when I saw it, I was just floored by how well it flowed. The music itself, I thought, was very poignant and just awesome to listen to. And Mushu, the character, was not just as a Disney throw-in so they could go ahead and sell toys. I thought Mushu actually served a purpose, was not overdone by Eddie Murphy, and was really on par with what was needed overall in the story arc of Mulan as you go ahead and watch the movie. I think there was, you could have there were some slight quibbles with the movie overall, but I think it was the best of the Disney kids movies of that era. For me, I think it was the most enjoyable, and to take that movie, putting it in a live action setting, is not surprising because Disney is doing it now with all the stuff that they have in the vault that they feel can go ahead they can go ahead and translate to a larger audience or an audience of today. That's not surprising. But the fact is that they've taken out all the poignant songs, or at least the inference is that it's not going to be a musical, and that the inference is also as well that Mushu is not going to be around, and that they've added a witch-like character who is aware or knows of Mulan's true identity. I'm not sure how that's going to fit in the overall story arc this time around. I'm not exactly enjoying it as much or enthralled by it. I'm not exactly seeing it as a kung fu movie myself. I'm seeing it more as a Chinese period piece. And as a Chinese period piece, I'm seeing as it looks okay. It looks something of interest, but it just isn't grabbing me like the original movie did that I loved so much way back when as well. So I'm kind of concerned as a movie fan if this movie will go ahead and portray well to an audience worldwide, despite the large market base that you have in Asia and overseas that's going to be able to go and see this film. I'm still curious, the reception that it will get in other parts of the world. Is it something that people are going to be dying to see, like other live action remakes, like Jon Favreau's The Lion King, and The Beauty and the Beast? Those two have gone over $1 billion at the box office and have done extremely well, and are thought of, even though that people can say what they want critically about the films, they made a chunk of change at the box office. Will Mulan go in that same fashion? I'm not so sure. That's why I'm interested to hear your thoughts more on it as it goes along, more trailers get released, because so many elements of what made the movie so special are being left out. Unlike what we've seen with The Lion King, which people just said was just a copy and paste from the film. Maybe that was a safe way to go, but hey, after over $1 billion, that was the best way to go financially. We've seen with Beauty and the Beast, that was more of a musical where it was more appealing to younger audiences. That obviously was the way to go because it made over $1 billion. Now you're talking about something that's a little bit darker, a little bit grittier, that's not that's taking some of the elements that was so appreciated by fans when the cartoon movie when the animated movie came out. That I'm not so sure it's going to play well with audiences worldwide. And worldwide in this case, maybe on our side of the fence, as far as from a North America, European standpoint, or European, South American, North American, European standpoint, it may not play as well as a Mulan in the animated format did, with a more with a better translation as far as music, songs, and things we're more familiar with from watching the animated film.
Yeah, I mean, still at the same time, so little is known about this film right now outside of the trailers. It looks like a historical piece, looks like it has elements of a kung fu film, reminds me a lot of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I don't know what to expect. In the trailer, they did have elements of the soundtrack of the original Mulan. Is this something for kids? Is it something for adults? We don't know any of this. So who are they trying to market this film to? That's what I want to know. For right now, I'm just kind of curious to absorb more information as it is released by Disney.
Well, hopefully we will absorb more information by Disney, and it is going to be, I think, something that's going to be more polarizing to audiences, or potential audiences, I should say, coming up down the road with each successive trailer that comes out before the movie. I'm very interested to see the reaction of people worldwide. I'm like I said, it's something I want to give a chance to, but does it just grab me like the movie did so long ago? It's not doing it yet, but that doesn't mean it won't at some point in time down the line. We'll have to wait and see. But I want to hear everyone's thoughts out there. Is the Mulan trailer getting you excited for Mulan, the live action reimagining? We want to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, coming up right after the break, Jason Todd Feinberg from Honey Queen stops by with his thoughts on the Black Widow trailer, the Mulan trailer, and also as well what I asked him in regards to the Conjuring franchise being the dominant force in horror movies over the past decade. Then right after that, Rob McCallum. It's Rob McCallum Week continues with a short Rob McCallum Week continues with an off the cuff segment, and then after that, Josh and I close out the show with our own thoughts on the Conjuring franchise, Mobile Suit Gundam's Char Counterattack returning to theaters, and is Disney thinking about a live action Dragon Ball film? We're going to talk about that and more coming up right after the break. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. If you need a listing where we're at, because we're being played all around the world, 7 days a week on radio stations worldwide, you just got to check out our listings today. Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, where you'll see a listing of many of our over 30 different options as well for podcasting outlets. My friend, you've got everything going on with Topicocalypse, and congratulations, you suck. So we're in the midst of the holiday season, my friend, but you got to tell me what's going on with both those properties, Topicocalypse and Congratulations, You Suck.
So right now you can get Congratulations, You Suck on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Powell's Books, and a lot of other booksellers. It's available for $20, I believe, and it is available in both physical and ebook formats. It's got a lot of great reviews on Amazon, so I definitely recommend checking it out, and I'd love to hear any feedback you have on the book. As for Topicocalypse, we're putting out new episodes as we go. We had our Black Friday episode and our Star Wars episode come out a week and a half ago on Sunday, we'll be putting out our albums of the year episode, and we're going to be releasing our films of the year episode in a couple of weeks. So you can just follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and we're also on YouTube. You can check us out as you go. We greatly appreciate it. But we'll also probably be popping up on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel as well. And we hope you enjoy.
All right, my friends. Speaking of the Pop Culture Cosmos outlets and channels, I want to go ahead and say congratulations, my friend, and thank you for being a part of it, because recently, in the past week, we've gone over 50,000 downloads all time on our various outlets and resources, including Podbean, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Bullhorn, Podchaser, podcast.com, so Mixcloud, so many other different formats that we've been on. 50,000, over 50,000 all time. Cannot thank you enough for being a part of it, and cannot thank most of all the listeners out there from all around the world, because I checked the countries that our shows have been played on, and we're all over Asia, North America, South America, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, all over, from the smallest to the largest countries, and we cannot thank you enough for playing the Pop Culture Cosmos. I also want to go ahead and mention out there Retro City Games Holiday Game Day. 250 games free each this Saturday starting at 10 a.m. at both the Henderson and also as well the Town Square locations. Plus the Henderson location, we're running not one but two great tournaments. That's Super Mario Kart and also as well Super Smash Brothers, both for big prizes. And then you got also as well live music with Serious Damage, Decaying Tigers, and DJ Slumberland. They're all coming up. And all the charity, as far as any donations, we're accepting donations for canned food, kids underwear, kids clothing, kids underwear, and kids socks, all new, of course. And then also as well, new toys. And all those donations are going to go to UMC Children's Hospital, 3 Square of Las Vegas, and Girl Scouts of Southern Nevada, number 249, who are going to donate all that kids clothing to various schools here in Clark County. So tell you what, it's going to be a great day, Saturday, December 7th. And even if you can't stop by on the 7th at one of the Retro City Games locations, they're accepting donations all holiday long, and we cannot thank friends enough at Retro City Games. I also want to thank Rob McCallum and also as well his wife Tanya, and of course Jason Todd Feinberg for showing up on today's broadcast. But Jason wasn't so high on the Conjuring franchise as the preeminent series in horror for the past decade. I got to tell you, my friend, the way they went about their business in this decade, I got to say the Conjuring franchise as a whole, whether you like it or hate it, is the preeminent horror franchise of this past decade.
I agree. I mean, there haven't really been a lot of properties that have stuck out to me in terms of, what's scary and what's not. I did really enjoy, The Nun. I thought had a lot of really scary elements to it, as well as The Curse of La Llorona. It was a more B-grade horror movie, but it was well written. I saw Annabelle, which felt like I think I talked about this on the show. Felt like kind of a cheap horror film, but yeah, like I love the way that they're all tied together. I love the connectivity of it all. I would like to see another Conjuring film, Conjuring 3 perhaps, but they're doing a great job of keeping all the stories, even the things that aren't related to the Conjuring 1 and 2, still feel connected to that universe. So they're doing a great job of that. But at the same time, we've talked about this. When does a movie universe become oversaturated?
You're right on that. So the Conjuring franchise may look a little iffy in the next decade. I thought the Purge franchise went off to a great start as well, but I think they kind of faltered as the decade went on. So I got to give it to the Conjuring franchise as the preeminent horror franchise of the decade, with the Conjuring movies, the Annabelle movies, the Curse of La Llorona, the way they set it up and the template they set up as far as how you approach horror movies, I think is just the best way that pretty much has been done. since maybe the Friday the 13th franchise, the way it was done, Nightmare on Elm Street, or any of the other major franchises. I think it is now, at this point in time, the preeminent horror franchise because of what they've done this past decade. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode, but before we head on out, I know you wanted to talk about a couple of great subjects. And the first thing is, as our Mobile Suit Gundam expert, you heard the details on Char's Counterattack returning to theaters. So I want you to go ahead and enlighten our audience a little bit more on Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack returning to theaters and how much it excites you as a Mobile Suit Gundam fan.
So, Mobile Suit Gundam, I'm a fan. So, Char's Counterattack takes place in the Universal Century timeline. So, we discussed on another show the Gundam Unicorn, right? That takes place in the Universal Century timeline. So, you have Char's Counterattack, you have Mobile Suit Gundam, you have Gundam Unicorn, you have Gundam, the 08th MS team, 0083. They're all connected. This was like the Robotech of the Gundam universe, right? You have all these shows all connected. You have these kids who are somehow able to connect to these machines through the psycho frame, and they're able to pilot machines that nobody else can. And that's what makes this series so interesting, is that they're willing to dive into not just conscious thought, but subconscious thought. And this idea of, what if kids are the only ones that can fight wars for us? What will happen then? With Char's Counterattack, it's kind of a continuation of that theme, and it's a return to that universe. And it's a really exciting film, though it was done in 1988. It is going to be interesting to see it pop back up on film screens, because it's an opportunity for people who grew up watching this series to take their kids or their grandkids or their nephews or whoever it is to go check out this film. And I am really excited about it. I don't really have a lot more to say about that, but I'm just excited to see what its perception is. Is this going to open up new avenues for the Gundam series? I know Iron-Blooded Orphans is coming to Netflix soon. So what will this mean for the series? Is Gundam going to last another 25 years? I am, a huge fan of the series as it is. But again, when does a universe become oversaturated?
Well, Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack, in a special event by Fathom Events, came out this week for a special one-day only showing with theaters across America this week on this past Thursday. So here's to, if you didn't get a chance to go ahead and see it in the theaters, you got to go ahead and check it out, because it lays the groundwork for the Mobile Suit Gundam series. And if you don't get a chance to see it in the theaters, if you didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, I just heartily recommend you going ahead and listening to what Josh says that made it so special by going ahead and checking out on video, on streaming today, or as soon as you hear this, that's once again Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack. It did appear this past week for a day in theaters across the country, and here's hoping that it will do so and here's hoping that it will lead to more great things in the Mobile Suit Gundam universe, and hopefully a Mobile Suit Gundam movie coming to the big screens on a more extended fashion down the road. Well, a lot of great things we've talked about today. We've talked about all the great trailers, Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack. We've talked about a lot of great things, the Conjuring franchise, a lot of stuff that on today's show. But before we head on out, my friend, I know you wanted to talk about the rumor that Disney is getting involved possibly with a live-action Dragon Ball film. Nothing confirmed, but how does this make you feel as a Dragon Ball fan?
Excited and nervous at the same time. I like the idea of Disney producing a live-action Dragon Ball film, because if anyone has the money to do it, it is Disney. What I fear is that toy animation might sell the property to Disney as a whole, and we lose a lot of the things that made Dragon Ball so special. That's a worst case scenario. But from what I've read, Disney is hoping that Dragon Ball might be their next, big live action franchise, and that excites me. But what they're going to do to the characters, these classic characters that we all know and love and grew up with, that makes me nervous. As a casual fan of anime, would you have any interest in a live action Dragon Ball film if produced by Disney?
If they were to go ahead and make sure that they pay enough love to it, and they can, it's not like they wouldn't spend the dollars on it, I think yes. Although I would probably be more apt to see it on a Disney Plus format, to be quite honest with you. That way you could flesh it out even more, and I think it would probably even garner a larger audience in that way. That's just my personal thing, but yeah, that's just me talking.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it done justice, and it needs to be given its due. But I wouldn't want to see any of these characters change who they are in the show. But at the same time, if we're ever going to get a live action Dragon Ball film, I feel like Disney not only has the money to make it happen, but also like it would be the best opportunity we have to get a film like this.
I agree with you. So let's hope that Disney does stick its. Let's hope that Disney may go ahead and provide that lift for the Dragon Ball series, and whether it's either on Disney Plus or in a cinematic format, and give Dragon Ball hopefully the love that Dragon Ball fans know that series deserves. And Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack. I'll tell you what, 40 years anniversary, the 40th anniversary, to celebrate the 40th anniversary. Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack in theaters for one day only, courtesy of Fathom Events. But you know what? It's something special, and I'm sure Mobile Suit Gundam fans all around the world were just Mobile Suit Gundam fans all across the U.S. were just so appreciative of that opportunity this past Thursday. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great